Hello, my name is Ken Graczak. I'm a mortgage broker in Minnesota. I help buyers secure financing to purchase a home in Minnesota and Wisconsin. And my goal with this video is to try and offer some tips on home buying. Have this be like a home buying guide for folks that are thinking about purchasing a home and just don't know where to start. Or maybe they know where to start, but they want to try and get more information. Now, if you have any questions about what I've put in this video, you can always respond back. My information will be down in the description. But uh, obviously, you want to talk to a mortgage loan officer at some point, whether it be at your local credit union, your local bank, or if you, like I said, reach out to me. I've got 22 plus years of experience helping families get into homes. The reason why I do what I do is because my mom was a single mom raising 3 kids. She didn't know she could purchase a home till I was in 9th grade. And what I learned from that experience is there needs to be more education for folks to figure out how to purchase a home. Because at the end of the day, if you own a home, your net worth is going to be roughly 40 times more than somebody that rents a home. And that's a statistic found on Google, so it's got to be right? And anyway, how I'm going to break this video down is I'm going to have 5 different steps. And where we're going to start is we're going to start on layering the foundation. This is going to talk about credit and stuff. All right, so step 1 is laying the foundation. What we need to make sure is that you are ready to purchase a home, that you've budgeted and that it's affordable to you to do that. So those are key factors when an underwriter looks at your file. They want to make sure that you can pay back the loan. The ability to repay is a big deal when it comes to mortgages. This is so that we don't fall into another situation like we did back in 2008, 2009. So part of financial readiness is making sure your credit is looking as good as it can. When you are selling a car or you're selling something, you want to make sure it looks as good as possible. Well, in this case, you're selling yourself to an underwriter. At the end of the day, a loan officer is kind of in the middle. You're going up to a judge, and a loan officer is kind of like your attorney working to sell you to that underwriter, make sure that you look as good as humanly possible to get you the best possible deal. And credit becomes a huge deal when it comes to mortgages. So understanding where your credit score sits, what you need for credit is important. Having a 620 credit score or higher is very important. If you're below that, reach out to me. Well, let's work through it. Let's figure out what we can do to try and help on that. If you're between 620 and 700 and you want to try and move into better rates, because the better your score is, the better rate you're going to get, the better your payment's going to be, the lower your payment's going to be. And the more home you can purchase at the end of the day. At the end of the day, that's what the underwriter's looking at. They're looking at the monthly payment and how it affects you on your monthly budget. So that's a huge deal to try and pay attention to. So the importance of credit is hugely important. So if you don't have that figured out and you need help, let me know or let another loan officer know, and they'll work through that with you. Another big thing is going to be debt to income ratio. So they're going to take a look at what your current debts are on credit and this new mortgage payment, and how does that affect you on your monthly income. They're going to take your income, they're going to take the full amount. They're not going to take the taxes out, your net income. We know that 20 to 35% of your money is being taken out by taxes. So they don't want to put you in a bad spot. So they're going to keep that debt to income ratio down. So 45% to 50% of where your current net income is. All your debts have to fit into that. Why is that important? The bigger the mortgage payment that you can afford, the bigger home you can get. A lot of people are out there looking for these bigger homes, but they can't afford the big payment. So it's about trying to be able to afford that big payment. Now, when you close, you want to have some sort of emergency savings. What happens if the water heater goes out? Well, that's going to be a big, $2,000-$3,000 investment. You need to have emergency funds ready for you as well. So if there's some things that you need to work through, I've got some great tools to help you through that process. Now, there are some great online calculators that you can use. I have some on my website. So if you want to go check out my website, you can check out the calculators for the mortgage side of things. And there's certain things that you're going to need for pre-approval. You're going to have a 2-year job history. They're going to want to see that. We had COVID that happened just a few years ago, and some people had job gaps. That becomes a problem, and we have to work through that. These are all pieces of building the profile to make it look good while you're on that path to home ownership. If you've got any questions about these steps, please feel free to reach out, and let's go on to step number 2. Now, step two might be the most fun for most consumers because most people are visual people and they want to see the physical properties. They like to see the houses. They like to see what's going on. This is finding your dream home. And step two is you have to define what your needs and your wants are. So hopefully you're putting a list together of how many bedrooms you need. Maybe you have a family of 4 and you need a 3-bedroom home. Maybe you need a 2-stall garage, not a 1-stall. Maybe you need a basement. Maybe you don't need a basement. Maybe you need 1 level living is where you want to be at. Maybe you need 2 stories. Maybe you want to have all your living on 1 floor and then everything else on the main. Maybe you want to have open concept kitchen. Those are all things you want to put down on a list so that when you get and you start looking at properties, you can kind of see what's out there and you can get a good feel for what's going on. You're also going to want to make sure you know what areas that you want to live in because that's an important piece too. Certain homes in the area, I live in Bloomington, certain homes in my area are going to be more expensive in Bloomington than they would be in Savage. And so I got to understand that and understand what the market's giving me and then figure out what's my must-haves and what's my deal breakers. Moving out of Bloomington is a deal breaker for me and my family, but it may not be a deal breaker for you. So that's what you have to figure out. Now, once you have that needs list put together, it's about trying to find the right homes. There are going to be open houses on Saturdays and Sundays, sometimes during the week at night. How do you figure out what's the right place to go to and where to find that information? I have a really cool tool that can help you with the process of searching for homes, but you're probably going to want to get involved with a real estate agent at this point. And the way you want to find a real estate agent, you want to find somebody that you can connect with because you're going to be with this person for probably multiple weeks trying to find a home. You're also going to want to find somebody that you can feel that you feel can negotiate for you on your best behalf, on your behalf. And those are the 2 things that I would say. Find somebody that you feel you can connect with and find somebody that you feel can negotiate at the same time with you. If you don't feel maybe the person's a great person, but you're like, man, this person isn't going to be able to negotiate with a seller for me. That's probably not the right agent to be working with. Or this person is going to be one heck of a good negotiator, but I can't stand this person. That's probably not the right person to be partnered with when finding a home. Find somebody that you're going to like, know, and feel good about going and looking at these properties with. That real estate agent can get you set up on a real estate search as well. They have the multiple listing service, the MLS, and they can get you on an MLS search. And at that point, then you can start looking at properties. It's going to come to your email. You're going to be able to look online through that service. Now, if you go onto Zillow or you go onto Realtor.com, that's a super, super popular thing to do. Understand that the minute you put your information in, the way Zillow gets paid, you're putting your information in, it's all free, right? But once you put your contact information in, you're going to have professionals reaching out to you. They sell that information to 3 or 4 different people, and that's going to be something that you're going to have to deal with. If that's okay with you, that's totally fine then at that point. But make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. And then there's always the open house that you can go to. Understand that open house, the person that's sitting in that open house is representing the seller, and you want your own representation. If you really like the person that's in that house when you go through the open house, great. Ask questions. Understand what your needs list is and what your deal breakers are, and make sure you ask those questions to that person as you're going through the open houses. Obviously, step 2 is the best and the most fun step of all of these. But just know that you got to make sure that you're going to fit that home that you're finding in your budget, which is step 1. You have to make sure that step 1 is done before you hit step number 2. All right, so step number 3 is all work that the real estate agent's going to do, but you have to try and help your partner, your real estate agent, out during this process. It's called making an offer. It's the negotiation portion of what you're trying to do. So you found a great home. Now you got to make an offer on that home and make sure that the seller wants to negotiate with you on the price. So the real estate agent is going to help you with that negotiation process, but you have to have a realistic expectation as to what that seller is going to sell that home for. And it's hugely important to understand some strategies when it comes to what's your counteroffer going to be? How do you offer? Are you going to offer X amount low? And having that conversation and building that plan out with your real estate agent is extremely important as you go through the process. So you may find a home that's been on the market for a long time, and you think you can undercut that by $5,000 and still get seller paid closing costs. Well, that's a conversation and a plan you need to work with your agent and also your loan officer to make sure that fits the needs of your financial plan. So at the end of the day, when you're negotiating, it's about planning what that's going to look like, and what does your agent feel the house is worth, and not overpaying for that house, but at the same time negotiating to the right price. At the end of the day, the loan officer is going to have to order an appraisal on that property, and that appraised value is going to have to come in at the amount that you guys set for a purchase price. So if the house is if you put an offer of 450 and the house is only worth 425, it's not going to work. So you have to go and understand that going into that. At the same point, if that house is worth 450 and you're offering 400, they're probably not going to accept your offer. So that's a negotiation piece that you're going to have to talk to your real estate agent about. And that's something that you plan out as you're walking through the homes, as you're working with your partners. Okay, so step 4 is securing your mortgage. Now, the number one thing you can do when you're securing your mortgage is to feel good about the option on the mortgage that you're taking. So there's many, many options that you can take no matter who you work with. If you're at a bank, a credit union, or coming to a broker, you're going to have probably 2 or 3 different options. You're able to buy down the rate, but what the key to that is what is that going to do for you long term? What I create is I create what's called a total cost analysis for all my buyers. So as we start looking at rates, we start looking at this total cost analysis, and what it does is it breaks down what does a discount point cost you in the end. What you want to look at is you're looking at payment, and you're looking at what's my cost to close. Those are the 2 pieces. When you write your monthly check out to the mortgage, you're not writing that monthly check to the interest rate. You're writing out to the monthly payment. So you have to know what that payment's going to look like and what the costs are going to be to get to that payment. And those are the 2 pieces of advice that I can give you if you're not using the total cost analysis, which is what I provide to my clients. If you got any questions on this, let me know. There's a lot of different approaches that you can take to interest rates. You can go with a fixed rate. You can go with an adjustable rate. You can go with an FHA, a VA, a conventional. These are all pieces that you should have already figured out before you have the offer on the house. That's through that pre-approved, the step 1 phase. That's the phase that you should be doing all this on. But if you have questions on any of this stuff, let me know, and then we can work through that. On to step 5. So now step number 5, you've got the loan locked. You've got the program that you're looking for. Now you need to figure out what's next. How do we get this thing closed, right? So you're going to do an inspection on the house to make sure the house is going to meet your expectations. If there's any sort of funkiness with the house, you want to make sure that everything's good. So the inspection will start right away. It'll cost you about $400 to $500, and you're going to know. Then you're going to have the appraisal. The appraisal is going to be about $500 to $600, and the appraisal is going to get an idea. The appraisal is going to give an idea of what the value is, so that you know that. Once you have that taken care of, you need to jump onto insurance. You need to make sure your insurance is taken care of, because that's the last thing you want to wait for. I see a lot of people wait till 5 days before closing to get that insurance figured out. If you don't have the insurance figured out right away, go and find a good insurance agent to work with. If you don't have one, I have mortgage brokers. I have insurance brokers that I work with that would love to talk to you, that have access to a bunch of different carriers. So they're going to find you the best deal that's possible. If you are watching this video and you don't have a real estate agent figured out, I have a lot of real estate agents that I work with that might be a good fit for you as well. So as you go through that process, you've got the appraisal, the inspection, you've got the homeowner's insurance figured out. We've got our title work back. Now we're getting ready for closing. We're going to give you what's called a closing disclosure, and that's going to give you what your cash to close is going to be. The cash to close is going to give you an idea when we get to that closing date, what that's looking like. You're going to get a call from either your processor or your loan officer that's going to go through that to make sure that you have the funds available for the closing. Once that's all set, you're going to get to closing. A day before closing, you're usually going to get a package that's going to be the closing documents. You'll be able to see that ahead of time. And then at closing, you're just going to sign the documents. You're going to bring the money that you are expecting to bring in, and it's going to be done. Once this is all done and you close on the transaction, you've got to make sure that you are going to transfer electric, gas. You're going to want to make sure that you've got your cable or whatever you have set up. And then you're going to move in. After you've moved in, you're going to get some information. The way I set it up is you're going to get information about the home. So I have a program that will tell you kind of what the home value is on a monthly basis. and will give you the ability to communicate about the physical mortgage itself. From that point moving forward, you're going to get updates about every 6 months from your loan officer and your real estate agent. And it's about keeping up with how that works. If you've got any questions about this, you can always reach out to me. You can reach out to your loan officer or your real estate agent. But that's kind of how that process works. If you've got any questions about any of the 5 steps, let me know. If you want to go to my website and you're curious about me and how I work, my website is www.kengraczak.com. I go to Facebook, all the different social medias. I have social media out there. I have small 1-minute videos that I've been doing now for about a year. And I've got stuff on YouTube. So if you know, like, and trust what I'm doing, feel free to like me on YouTube as well. If you got questions, I'm here to help. I appreciate the time of watching this, and I look forward to seeing you in a home someday. Thanks.